our next topic centers around an interesting training that I was reading about yesterday in the Columbia Journalism Review, and you can read about it on our links blog as well. The World Health Organization brought together a group of journalists in Kuala Lumpur to teach them more about how they could be reporting on automobile crashes as a public health crisis. And the main theme of this training is that journalists need to break that very bad habit, and we've been talking about this again for years, of simply taking a police report, ripping it, reading it, and taking whatever attribution police give to the how, where, and why the incident happened, but to actually reframe that coverage and to look at some of the other aspects, such as road design, as the design of vehicles. And Damon, I really wanted to talk to you about this as our design thinker on our faculty, and the one who really puts us in a position of thinking about how are the structures that we build leading to outcomes that maybe we aren't always reporting on fully.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that piece because it's looking at the problem from a systems perspective. It's not just it was raining today or somebody was sleepy. It's, there was too much parking on the road, visibility was bad, couldn't see a pedestrian, couldn't see this, whatever.
A curve was at too steep of an angle.
And this applies to more, and this wasn't covered in that piece, this applies to more than just vehicle accidents. It's pedestrian deaths, it's all that sort of infrastructure. And I saw an interesting piece 2 days ago, I think it was in France, where it's safer to walk in the roads because they have less on-street parking. It's made for people, it's not made for cars. So we cover, and journalism falls for this all the time, we cover events, we don't cover systems so well.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you could actually go back to, think about had the horrific beating in Memphis happened without the video, or George Floyd happened without without the person being there having their phone out, taking that. Yep. You would have gotten the straight police report.
Which is what we got for how many weeks?
Exactly, especially in George Floyd. Yes. And even though that's what the police were putting out, everyone on social media was seeing exactly what took place. And so that's the kind of coverage that we get on a daily basis around, and it is a system thing. It is the way in which journalists are trained to cover. And because it is real easy, and we talk about this, it's real easy to go to the police department. You don't even have to go to the police department now. They'll send it to you. They'll email it to you.
And in some cases, they're just posting it on their website.
They're posting it on the website. There you go.
And
they get it. But it's all from their perspective.
Right.
And if you aren't taking the time to question that, and then go out and get the information and then think about it from the perspective of those who are being impacted by it, then that's what you're going to get. And the same thing happens when you talk about a car crash. It's a whole lot easier to take that police report where the police are saying, well, if the person driving had done this, the accident wouldn't have happened. Well, what if they did do that and it's still...
In Earnest, as I was also reading through that, I was thinking about a lot of the conversations, and forgive me for telling tales out of school, but I'm thinking about a lot of the conversations you and Kathy and I have been having around the table before we start recording the show in the past few weeks about our infrastructure problems just in our nation alone, and how over the course of the last 2, 3, 4 decades, the infrastructure has collapsed in this country. So as we also talk about, that person swerved and went into the wrong lane of traffic. Well, they maybe have swerved because there was an 8-foot pothole that hadn't been fixed or repaired because there was no money to do so, and they overcorrected. That's not their fault. I mean, it is their fault, but it's not their fault.
Or they driving in the driving lane that was built for cars that were made in the 19...
So we call these normal accidents, quote unquote normal accidents, which is an unfortunate or a tragedy that happens, but it's been designed into the system to happen, basically.
Yeah.